Well, this week on the Dan Nicholl Show, if you look around, you might think, well, Dan is in a really cool wine cellar in South Africa. I'm surrounded by bottles of fine South African wine, and I'm next to one of South Africa's greatest ever cricketers. But I'm not in South Africa, I'm actually in London, and this is High Timber, a South African-owned restaurant in the heart of London, where I find one of South Africa's great exports, because you're now in the position, Morne, to say welcome to your hometown to me.
Yeah, welcome to my backyard. It's my second year with Surrey after calling it a day back home in South Africa. And yeah, so I spent 5 months of the year here playing for Surrey, and then rest of the journey or rest of the time in Australia. So I've moved to Australia, living in Sydney now in Manly. So maybe that can be our next stop one day, if you find yourself in Australia.
I look forward to it. You're able to do that now because you have said goodbye to international cricket. You've had a fair amount of time to look back at it and consider it. Are you at peace with the decision? Are you happy with the way things ended for you?
I'm at peace. I think I couldn't have asked for a better way to end my career, but still, I think the reality of calling it a day and moving on, you spoke about it quite a lot while you're playing, that life goes on and how quickly it moves forward. The new guy is going to take your place, they're going to bowl, and yeah, actually almost just realised that once you've stepped away from a game and you're sitting in the couch and you're watching the boys play, and to be honest, it does take some time, but luckily over here we play so much cricket in the UK that I hardly get any time to think about it.
I'm not going to ask you about how this particular World Cup is going. It's a slightly unfair question. But I will ask you about what it's like to watch the World Cup, knowing that there was a pretty good possibility you could have played in this World Cup had you carried on. Has it been easy to watch, difficult to watch?
It's been tough. I understand what the boys are going through. So, for me it was more important to, send them a message, connect with them while they're in London. Sometimes you wish, you can sort of go out and help with all the injuries we had. But anyway, that's for me. It's now just to keep on being a supporter and be there for the guys, in the tough times.
What's the biggest challenge been moving across to London with the family?
I think I don't see him that often as I would like. This year we just decided we wanted to settle a little bit and plant some roots somewhere. And with Roz back in Australia working for Channel 10, it made just sense for them to stay there. So I think I spent a lot of time away from home, which is not great, especially with the boys growing up at a certain age where they're starting to ask questions. Why am I a WhatsApp dad or a FaceTime dad? What's going on here? But like I said, I don't have many more years left in me, so I'm trying to make the most of it, and hopefully can end up on a high, in my cricket career.
Are you worried inside that the boys are going to grow up with Australian accents?
Today they call me mate. That's my biggest fear. But no, I think there's a lot of South African roots, inside of them.
You do have the next best thing to having Roz with you here. You've got a little Portuguese opening batsman for company here in London. The
Portuguese fighter pilot opening batsman Dean Alger is with me. It's unbelievable to have that funny man with me in the dressing room. It was also his second season, so we're having a lot of fun here in London, and he's a great partner in crime.
Before we head off to get some lunch here at High Timber and some great South African wine, which I'm looking forward to, looking back on that extraordinary career for South Africa, you gave us so much pleasure. You terrified the living daylights out of so many batsmen. When you look back on it, is it possible to think of one particular match, one particular performance that stands out above all the others as Morne Morkel's favourite cricketing memory?
Yeah, I think there are certain spells. There's a spell to Michael Clarke at New Zealand sometimes. When I'm low in confidence, I YouTube that, and that for me it was just the atmosphere that day. It's always big when you play against Australia, and I think the last sort of 5 years, when the whole Protea fire thing started, to be involved in that culture and that environment is. I've played in a lot of teams now, and a lot of, I've seen a lot of things, but that was a special time in my life. I don't think really the public or the South Africa understand how close the boys are, and I think a lot of teams will give their front teeth to have an environment and set up like that.
You're a big part of that, and you drove that team along, I think, a lot more than people realise. So thank you for it. I'm glad you're enjoying your semi-retirement here in London. Still like to have you on that side, but we'll have to live with the decision. And I think it's a little reward. This is a lovely restaurant. It's a terrific South African food and some great South African wine. I think some lunch upstairs might be the way to go.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Morne, thank you.